Hello, and welcome to Growing in Business. It's an interview series, and I am your host, Flemming Johnson. Today I'm joined by Randell Cain. He's with Kerusso Capital Management. So thank you so much for joining us, Randell.
Yes.
Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Well, as you already shared, Flemming, I am with Kerusso Capital Management. I'm actually the Chief Executive Officer, Chief Investment Officer, and founding partner of Kerusso Capital Management, a minority and women-owned institutional money management firm that was founded in 2021. And we've had the blessedness of being able to grow from initially 4 million in assets to now slightly more than 90 million in assets over a span of approximately 2 years. And we are focused as a value investing boutique. And we are a firm made up of partners who have previously worked together at a previous institution. And now we've come together to do something that we think is truly differentiated and hopefully value added to our clients.
Very cool. What inspired you to start your own business? And, what was that initial spark that made you have the entrepreneurial urge?
Sure. Well, the blessing that I had, Flemming, was really since 1997. I've worked in entrepreneurial spaces, either with smaller institutions or startup institutions. So Kerusso, the launcher, that was not completely unfamiliar to me. The difference was this was the first time that I was actually the leader, sole leader of an organization of this type. The previous firm that I had worked with, the CEO, saw the potential, I believe, in what I might be able to accomplish in a standalone setting and encouraged me to step out in their firm in a very amicable fashion, helped me to transition the work that I was doing there to Kerusso to help get us launched and help get us started. And so it was really a matter of someone seeing more in me than what I had functionally been doing before, which was primarily managing money. I'd been the portfolio manager behind the screens, managing the portfolio, whereas relationship management and things of that nature was typically handled by others. And so the big transition for me moving into this space was being the brand builder, being the brand leader for an organization that was of my own making versus me working with or for others, so to speak.
So you've been the individual contributor slash leader in a larger organization, and now you're the leader in a different kind of contributor in entrepreneurial organization. Tell me, what are some common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address that?
Well, I think the first thing that has to be understood from an entrepreneurial standpoint is I hear some who say they want to start their own business because they want to work for themselves and they don't want to work for anyone else. If you are in business, you are always working for someone else. It may not be a case of on a org chart that there's someone above you, but you actually have perhaps multiple people above you, and those are called your clients. And so you're working either to acquire clients or to keep clients who you have and trying to grow the business relationship with existing clients or with potentially new clients. And so I think that's one huge misconception. The second, I think, should be dispelled is that while you may wake up every day desiring to be successful, everyone else does not wake up every day desiring necessarily to make you successful. They're focused on their own success, and you may, in a reciprocal, symbiotic fashion, be able to partner to perhaps help grow each other's business, but it's not their primary impetus to make sure that you are successful. That really is your focal point, not necessarily theirs. And I think that the other aspect of it is just because you believe you have a truly value-added product or service, everyone may not agree with that initially. And so it becomes incredibly important for you to, as I like to say, earn your yeses by working through your nos. And if you're not comfortable doing that, then being an entrepreneur probably is not the best space for you, because there are going to be actually more no's than there are going to be yeses until perhaps there is a tipping point at which it begins to move in the other direction. And I've seen that happen in other instances where initially you're reaching out to people and they're not necessarily responding as you would like, but something happens, there's a catalyst, there's a spark, and then in some cases they actually come looking for you. And so you have to be patient to see those tipping points, those turning points actually occur.
Excellent. How do you maintain work-life balance as a business owner, business leader, and functionary within the business? Do you have any personal rituals, habits? What keeps you motivated?
Certainly. Well, one, I will say, Fleming, balance is not something that is germane, common, or average to each individual, such that balance to you may be different in terms of balance from me. And so I think that trying to scale it to where it's saying, well, you should have a certain amount of time allocated to different functions. I would say there may be time allocated, but the allocation of time may be different from individual to individual. I have a lot of things on my plate, so to speak, and I try my best to be present and be impactful in every space that I'm in and be very intentional with that. But once I transition from one space to another, I try to leave behind what I was doing, stay present with where I am, and not be too concerned about where I'm going next until I actually get there. One of the things that for me is incredibly important is to maintain my life of faith. Every morning, I will read scripture, I'll have meditations, I have my time of prayer, because it helps to center me and keep my focus on understanding that for me as an individual, and this is not necessarily germane to all, my focus is on servant leadership, that I step into places and I expect to be, again, impactful and to be a difference maker, but it's not so much for Randy Cain, is what can I do to be of help and service to others? And so having that mindset of first, my service is unto God, and God allows others to be in my life for me to express that service unto God, unto them, it helps to keep me centered. It helps to keep me humble. It helps to keep me focused. And in doing so, I believe that allows me to be a bit more receptive to trying to be successful in different spaces when I realize it's really not all about me.
Good. The business landscape,
Yes.
always changing.
Mhm.
So how do you stay adaptable and open to change?
Well, I think that first, in terms of the product or service that you offer and you bring to the market, there's a concept called market permission. You may have what you think is a product or service that the market wants, but you've got to be very careful and myopically marketing to yourself. It's kind of like when it comes to ideas, I'm always a bit hesitant when people say to me, I've got a great idea. I'm like, no, you actually have an idea. We'll have to work through to see if that idea is great or not. And so when someone says they've got a great product or great service, like, well, no, you may have a product or service. Time will tell whether or not it's actually great. And the greatness is the impact it has on others' lives, not necessarily the financial rewards that will come for you being successful. And so first, being other oriented and other focused, I think is incredibly important, because people's desires, their wants, and their needs, they can change over time. And having a pulse of what that is very important. The other aspect of it is building intentional flexibility, I think, within your business, to be open to things that change. For example, Fleming, the conversation we're having right now, for most people, they may have more of a preference of saying, let's be in each other's personal space. But through the advances of technology, we can do this literally from different places across the world. And so utilizing technology, I think during the period of COVID, it really shattered and shook up some people's worlds of how you can be still intentional, be relational, and connect and communicate without having to hop on a plane, train, or automobiles to do so, which allows you to really scale and utilize your time in a much more effective way. And so I think that trying to be relevant and present all the time and taking advantage of things, and not necessarily saying you've got a playbook written and that's the only one that you can use to run your game plan, is incredibly important. To have goals, to have a vision for how you're going to reach those, have that written out, but always be willing to go back and kind of renegotiate that to say, should we be doing some things differently? And to be intellectually honest about it, not to say, well, I decided this 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, but being open to saying, as things change, do we need to adapt and change as well?
Very good. Right now, I'd like to shift and have you think forward.
Okay.
Give us a glimpse into the future, some future plans and goals for your business, and envisioning the next chapter of this entrepreneurial journey.
Certainly. Well, I'll say at first, Flemming, that entrepreneurship can be large scale or small scale. And frankly, the results often correlate to the vision and the visionary. In launching Kerusso, my vision has been for us to be a multi-billion-dollar investment firm that is diverse and that is inclusive. And in doing so, I expect for us to have women and men working in the organization in institutional investment management, where frankly, people of color and women are absolutely on a smaller percentage of that demographic landscape. I expect for the organization to be one that is impactful on multiple levels. One, that as I have done historically, my performance in my portfolio has put us in the top decile of large cap value managers. And we're looking at creating complementary products to go along with that. But we will first be looking to continue to generate alpha, outperformance in our strategies. That is, in my opinion, the only reason why we should actually be in business. And then second, that we will generate above market returns for our investors, those who took the chance on us to give us working capital for equity in the organization. We will continue to build out the organization by having equity ownership across the board, from the highest level person in the organization down to the one who may answer the phones, answer the doors, but also we'll be impactful in community. I think that, as you know, the scripture says, to whom much is given, much is expected, much is required, and to some degree, much is demanded. For us at Kerusso, we are focused on making a difference, not only in changing the optics of the industry, but also the lexicon and the pathways for engagement and making a difference. For example, we have partnered with a local historically Black college and university, Winston-Salem State University, where for now 3 running semesters, we've given some of their students exposure in investment analysis. That's with us just getting started, Flemming. As I said, we're close to 90 million in assets under management. I think about what we might be in terms of impact when we're 900 million in assets under management, when we're 9 billion in assets under management, and the kind of influence and impact that we can have to show that people who may look different from historical norms can actually do this in this business and do it quite well. And then for me, the ultimate end game, Flemming, is to walk away. For some entrepreneurs, what they call entrepreneurship and having their own business, when you look at the continuity and the transition to the next generation, it really amounts to them having had a really good job. And what I mean by that is, if they step away in the building and the business folds, I question what kind of business it actually was. Really, for us to have businesses that are impactful, that are of note, they should be intergenerational. And for Kerusso, that's the vision that I have, is that my ultimate success is for me to walk away and for the organization to be as successful, if not more so, when I'm actually gone. And so when I think about the big picture and how we want to get there, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what keeps me motivated, energized, and excited about this.
That said, what would you advise to aspiring entrepreneurs who are just starting the journey and facing some challenges in their business?
Great question. I think the most introspective and impactful question that you can ask is why? Why are you starting this business? And being very intellectually honest, and I am bivocational. I have several degrees. My last degree was a Doctor of Ministry degree from Duke Divinity School. And one of my professors said, if you really want to get to the heart of a matter, ask the question why 5 times. And by the time you get to the 5th why, maybe the truth will actually have come out. And I think that when you get to the why, it helps you to understand what is your true motivation. And if frankly, if it's not on sound foundation, Fleming, you may not be well suited for this. But when your why is something that is truly impactful and is, again, as I was mentioning before, other oriented, not just about you, then even when it gets hard, it becomes a matter of, well, remember why you're doing this. If this is for a future generation, if this is to make a real impact in the industry group one way or the other, and you can see the value that what you're doing is going to bring to the world on a larger scale than where you may happen to be right now, then find a way to work through it. And the thing is, it allows you then to be very focused because, as I was saying before, you got to earn your yeses. And you earn your yeses by getting through your no's. But as you go through your no's, it becomes a matter of, for those who are like in sports and things of that nature, many of the greatest athletes will say that they learn so much more from their losses than they do from their wins. Their wins validate that they are doing what they're supposed to do. The losses highlight the places where they still need to do some more work. And so for every no that you get, understand why you got the no and how that can improve you getting closer to the yes. And if you do that consistently, you do that long enough, things tend to work out.
Wise words. Thank you so much for your time today, Randell. It's great to meet you and talk with you, learn about your entrepreneurial journey, and also your focus and objective.